If an aspect of yourself feels out of alignment right now, there is a good chance that your life is actually out of balance, that the equilibrium that your life requires, that has been occupied by our ancient civilizations, is actually completely off. And just as your body strives to reach equilibrium, your life is simply another aspect that needs to reach equilibrium. And you aren't alive, you aren't in life, you are life. And this is an opportunity to actually evaluate which parts of my life are not serving me and where am I putting too much energy and how can I restore this. Before I continue, I do want to emphasize that the lack of equilibrium is not just on an individual basis, but it can actually be seen in a cultural context. How different countries prioritize different aspects of life, and how some priorities actually lead to a higher chance of health issues, mental health issues, and instability, such as the cultural values in the United States, which are more heavily rely on materialism, working excessive hours to buy more things, and even excess consumption. As a matter of fact, the U.S. is the number one consumer for many things, including social media and all of these things. So, in terms of not in population size, but percentages, because some other countries have higher populations, and this is too complicated to break that down right now. But it is possible. I ran the numbers, I did the math, that if you work 30 hours a week, even if you make like minimum wage or whatever, it depends on your living situation, how much rent costs. But if you, for people that are younger, my age right now, if you rent a room out of a house, you could actually have a really affordable life. Of course, renting an apartment or a house is going to be a lot more expensive, but let's say you're living like bare minimum, minimalism, all of this stuff. I ran the numbers. If you work 30 hours a week and you have to pay for rent in an affordable place, which affordable places do exist these days, guys, and you have to get food, and you have to pay for your card, and you have to pay for all of those things, there's still extra money, actually a good amount of extra money, just working 30 hours a week. Hence why I'm saying you don't have to work 40-hour work weeks. Obviously, some people have to support families, but I see people overworking themselves when in actuality, you can have a work-life balance, you can build creative projects and work on other personal projects outside of your corporate job, and that you can still sustain your life. And as a matter of fact, be happier and healthier. I think in Italy they have 30-hour work weeks, something along those lines, and they get a lot of vacation time too. And this doesn't mean being lazy, because it's just about work-life balance. And if you love your job and it's not draining your life force out of you, feel free to add more hours, but remember the balance. So there are many areas of life. I broke it down into 5 main areas, and this exercise, if you want to get out a notebook and a pencil right now, then go for it, because I'm going to walk you through this exercise. So I'll actually write it down. So you have 5 areas of life. And you can add more if something else resonates with you. Then go ahead and add that. But because for entertainment, I am including hobbies in there. But hobbies is kind of dispersed throughout everything. And I see hobbies sometimes as spiritual, because I make music, for example, and to me, making music is spiritual. Art is spiritual. But you can categorize this how you want. So the 5 categories I have are work. So I want you to have 2 columns. So here, I'll write balance. So we have current, right? And then we have desired. So make 2 columns like this. So you have, I don't even know if you can read my handwriting, but it says balance, current, balance, desired. So on the left column, you have your current. On the right column, you have your desired balance. So categories, you write work in both columns. You write work. You write relationships in both columns. And then you write spiritual in both columns if you are spiritual. Or this could be introspection, whatever you want it to be, downtime. And then you write chores, which to me, chores includes health and taking care of yourself, because that's what chores kind of are. And then entertainment. And I realized I should have put hobbies in here, because honestly, that actually doesn't fall into any of these other ones. So go ahead and put hobbies. All right, so then be honest with yourself. How much time are you spending on work right now? Right, so I could put my percentage there. Relationships right now, I'm putting 20%. That's about how much time I'm spending on that. Spiritual right now, 25%. Chores, entertainment. And make sure that this adds up to 100%. So I'm going to count mine right now. 45. Okay. So my hobbies are 15%. So I have my current, and then you want to put your desired. So let's say you're working a job, but you're only working 15 hours a week, and you put you're spending 15% of your time at your job, and you actually want that number to go up. Then you could be like, okay, actually I need to be working more. So you could put, okay, I'm going to put this actually at 25%. So I'm going to write my desired one right now. So my desired balance, yours might be different, but mine is work, 25%. Relationships, 25%. Chores should take up about, working out, everything, 10%. So there we have 60% already. Then I would want hobbies to take up 15%. Got 75%. And then spiritual would be, ideally, I would want it to take 20%, but realistically, I would give it 15%. And like I said, my hobbies are spiritual to me, so those are intertwined. And then entertainment, I have 10% left. So my entertainment has to go down a lot, basically. So my desired, I'll read it again in case I was scattered a little bit. Work, 25%. Relationships, 25%. Spiritual, 15%. Chores, 10%. Entertainment, 10%. Hobbies, 10%. So that's the balance that I now can build my life around. Okay, so based on this, we can allocate this much time. And obviously this can fluctuate with relationship things. Things fluctuate, definitely. But it's just an idea of, okay, maybe the U.S. wants me to have work as 50%. Let's pretend that we're writing one just for the U.S. So if this was, I'm not saying that this is end all be all, but in my mind, if there was a balance that is the staple for the U.S. that embodies the culture of the United States, it would be work 40% or something along those lines. Work 40%, relationships 20%, and then it would be spiritual probably 0%. It depends where you are. Maybe 10% because some people are religious, so I don't know. So, and then it would be chores 10%, and then so maybe too little time would be put into relationships, too little time into hobbies and spirituality, which actually feed your soul, hobbies and spirituality and relationships. So yes, balancing life. So thank you guys for watching this video. It was a little bit different, but I do want to get more philosophical again in my other videos. I have been in a big transition period in my life the last few months. You guys know I moved to the Pacific Northwest, and then actually I moved back to where I was because of some changes, and I decided I want to pursue a master's in counseling. in the next 1 or 2 years, and that staying in the Pacific Northwest would make that a lot more difficult. So I left. I will miss the trees. If you're out there, enjoy it. It's so beautiful out there, so green. And I am at a place where I'm starting from scratch, building life up from scratch and creating this balance. As a matter of fact, I do want to bring one thing up that Dr. K, the psychiatrist that I follow, said about this is that, for example, if you have sleep issues, this is kind of irrelevant, but it connects, then the last thing in your life that will be fixed is the sleep. That first you have to fix the other aspects of your life that are causing you to have an unbalanced mind, right? And he also said that some people actually get stressed out and anxiety because they're underwhelmed, that you need to actually challenge yourself more. And this is what I think about of how some people are working too little and some people are working too much. Being stressed from not having enough to do versus being stressed about having way too much on your plate. And there's a balance. There's a balance to everything. And that's just how the universe is, the law of cause and effect. But what if there were more causes than effects? Or what if there were more effects than causes? It doesn't work that way necessarily. And sometimes there are more effects, but that's a completely different topic. But if you just think of infinity, how all of the numbers combined equal infinity, and how there has to be a balance on both sides, negative and positive, even though that becomes complex. Negative infinity, positive infinity. This is a whole nother tangent that I could get on. But if you watch my video, Love is Change, I actually talk about that. So actually, if you want any specific video topics, comment them down below, because I have this notes app on my phone. Every time I get an idea for a video, I write it down. But recently, I have been doing a lot more somatic work and going into my body instead of my mind. So I have had a few less ideas, or maybe I have ideas, but I couldn't make a 15 video on that idea. So if you want me to deconstruct something, go ahead. And with the election coming up, I know this channel is not about politics, but I may or may not be interviewing someone about the election soon. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but this is an important election and you should go out there and vote. So yeah, hopefully that isn't controversial, but yeah. Have an amazing week, and remember to be present and stay inside your body. Stay awake. Don't fall asleep. Stay present. Stay awake.